It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Jen Cohen as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it's great to have you in studio today. This month, April, is 911 Education Month. The Cottonwood Police Department Communications Center Manager, Marie Carpenter's in studio. Welcome to studio.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
We're going to talk about 911 Education Month, do's and don'ts of 911 calls. Before we get into that, though, we have some examples of 911 calls, about 3 minutes worth. You'll hear a variety of them. Choking baby, an officer chasing someone, there's a vehicle crash, and a man down call as well. So we're going to let you listen to this. We're going to come back and talk to Marie more again about the do's and don'ts again of 911.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Medical, he's not breathing.
Okay.
I believe the address is...
Is there a space number? Okay.
No.
All right, what's the phone number you're calling me from in case you get disconnected?
No.
Okay, we need to start CPR, okay? I'm going to get to the instructions, okay? I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Stay on the line. All right, listen carefully, okay? Are you by the baby right now?
Yes.
Okay, now place your hand on the baby's forehead, your other hand under the baby's neck and shoulders, and then slightly tilt the head back. Put your ear next to her mouth. Okay, can you feel or hear any breathing?
Not yet.
No? Okay. I'm going to tell you how to give mouth to mouth. Did you feel the air going in and out? Okay. Listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
635. All units are in pursuit of a white Bronco. Stand by for service. I think they might have just 61 or 62 to 10th and Mingus. 597 will be at that vehicle. Looks like it crashed at 10th and Mingus. 597, they're running on foot. Looks like southbound. Copy is on 20.
Yeah, I think there's one in the apartment complex.
Roger, I'm flipping around.
1022, they're running. Southbound still. One might have gone in the apartment complex. One jeans and big tank top.
Copy, I'm going to go down 11th down to Ash. 635 and I want to change. Can you leave out the...
911, what is the address of your emergency? Where are you?
Alarm, ambulance 541. We're going to be on scene. 2 vehicles, head-on collision, heavy damage. I'm going to have, looks like at least 4 patients. I'm going to need 2 engines and start needing 1 more ambo. Alarm, ambulance 541. I'm going to have another immediate patient. Start me a 2nd ambo, and I'm going to need extrication.
Copy, 2 vehicles, heavy damage.
Could you also place a medical helicopter on standby?
We will place a medical helicopter on standby.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Hi, I need an ambulance.
Okay, what's the address?
It's on...
Okay, what's the phone number you're calling from? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
And he's leaning all over and he's unconscious.
All right, I'm getting help started right now. Are you with him?
Yes, I am.
How old is he?
He's 86.
Okay, is he awake?
No.
Okay, is he breathing?
Oh, no, I don't think he is. No.
Okay, I'm going to have some instructions for you, okay? Are you right by him right now?
Yes, I am. I am.
Okay, listen, lay him flat on his back on the ground and remove any pillows or anything from under his head.
Okay.
All right, now pump the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second, and 2 inches deep. Okay, tell me when somebody's there to take over, okay? Keep pumping until they're right there with them.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back. So those are examples of 911 calls. Again, we had a choking baby at the beginning. There was an officer chasing someone. There was a vehicle pursuit as well in there. There was a crash and then a man down at the end there. So, Marie.
Yes.
We want to talk about, it's 911 Education Month. You contacted us to say you would like to come in and talk about that. I think it's a great idea because there are do's and don'ts of a 911 call.
Yes.
So maybe we should hit some of the don'ts first, things we shouldn't do when we call 911?
Absolutely. The first don't that comes to my mind is don't use 911 for non-emergencies. Use it for an emergency. Don't call 911 to ask for information, road conditions.
Do you get those?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. We get 911 calls from people quite often who didn't know the non-emergency number. So we want to have people go out and get familiar with their agencies, know their police departments, know their fire departments, and have those non-emergency numbers ready and available in the event that they would need to call for information.
Okay.
If they're not sure it's an emergency, call. If you're not sure if you've rolled up on an accident, whether or not somebody else has reported it, go ahead and call 911. Err on that side of safety, of course. But we only have so many 911 lines and so many dispatchers. So non-emergency calls do tie up those lines and could delay a response to a true emergency.
If I have an annoying dog in the neighborhood that won't stop barking, I should not be calling Marie Carpenter at the Cottonwood Police Department Dispatch Center.
Probably not on 911.
No, you should be calling animal control and
on the non-emergency line.
On the non-emergency line. Okay, so yeah, get to know the non-emergency lines. They're all posted on the websites.
Absolutely.
Should be easy to find. So,
absolutely.
But yeah, 911. I can imagine you probably get quite a few calls that don't really require your assistance.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else? If I do have an emergency and I call 911, what are some of the things I should make sure I'm able to do when I'm speaking to a dispatcher?
The most important piece of information a dispatcher or call taker will need on 911 is your location. I encourage people, this is a great recreational area, a lot of hiking. Get familiar with your location. Know your milepost if you're on a freeway or a highway, cross streets, street address, post your address in front of your residence, teach your children to memorize their address. If you go out hiking or any recreational activities, motorized sports, know the trail you're on, the Forest Service road number, be familiar, tell somebody where you're going. We have great technology in place for finding people, but it's not perfect. There are things that can impact wireless location information, such as signal strength, atmospheric conditions, terrain. So we want to make sure that we can get that location so we know where to send help.
I think it's probably pretty safe to say that we still live in an area that you see those movies, those horror movies, where there's no phone service, but we do have that still. It still exists in Arizona in some locations, I would imagine.
Have areas with limited
with limited service or no service at all. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
There are a number of stretches of roadway where the phone call will just drop because it's limited service.
So when I do get through to you, I better be ready to tell you where I'm at.
It would be very helpful to us.
As best I can.
As best you can.
Now you hear about the pinging, people's phones being pinged. Is that something dispatch does, or is that something that the police departments do?
The term gets used interchangeably. When a person calls 911 from a cell phone, their GPS information is transmitted with their call in the form of latitude and longitude, and we can see that on a map, a digital representation of their location.
Okay.
The industry standard is 36 meters plus or minus of accuracy, and for the most part, it's very good in this area. But there are times when we need to find somebody who has not called 911 or is no longer on 911. Maybe a situation with a suicidal person. Then what we do is we reach out to the providers and request location information in the form of what we call a ping. And it's basically triangulating the person's location using their last activity with the cellular towers in the area.
Okay. Real quick, like 30 seconds if you can. It used to be that I had a phone on my wall at home.
Oh, yes.
And that's just really not the case anymore. You don't see that much anymore.
No. Over 70% of our 911 calls last year came from wireless devices.
Okay.
Not so common anymore.
And that's not really attached to my home.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, all right, so yeah, know your address. All right, let's take our first break. Marie Carpenter is in studio today. Cottonwood Police Department Communications Center. It's 911 Education Month. Stick around, countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool. Oh, yeah. Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Being prepared is a part of who you are. But it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Welcome back to Countywide. Marie Carpenter from the Cottonwood Police Department Communications Center. She's the manager there. Dispatch Center is what it is, the Dispatch Center. It's 911 Education Month. Also, you were telling me during the break there that it's our 50th anniversary of 911.
It is, absolutely. The first 911 call was made in 1968. So February was the 50th anniversary of 911.
Wow.
And it's evolved a lot
Yeah.
over the last 50 years, for sure.
I can only imagine. Yeah, okay, wow, so 50th anniversary, okay. I think, what are some of the, okay, we talked about some of the don'ts.
Yes.
I guess I kind of cover some of the do's too.
Yeah.
Don't call without knowing your address. Do call with knowing your address.
Absolutely.
I guess it's not reasonable to ask people to try to be calm when they call 911 because as we heard at the beginning of the show, everyone's going to be a little different.
Oh, yes.
But I tell you what, the dispatcher, cool as a cucumber all the time.
Absolutely.
Let's get into that a little bit. What is it like? Because everybody, according to Marie, all agencies need dispatchers right now, and I considered it at one point in time, but I don't know that I can handle it because there is just so much going on. Kind of paint a picture for me. Okay, I'll dial 911. I've got you on the phone. What's going to happen? What are you doing on the phone while you're talking to me?
Oh, a lot's going on. I'm taking information from you and I'm uploading it into a computer-aided dispatch software program. While I'm talking to you, one of my partners is taking that information and relaying it to responders. So the dispatch goes out very quickly so we can get responders on the road very quickly. But while I'm gathering information from you, I'm using a standardized protocol to gather that information. And it's based on best practices established by the International Academies of Emergency Dispatch.
Okay.
So we ask the questions, it's streamlined, so we're not asking things that aren't necessary right off the bat.
The priorities.
The priorities.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And on the medical calls, is he breathing? You know, is he awake?
Is the suspect still in your house?
Exactly, the priority information right off the bat.
Gotcha.
But we're also, based on those protocols, giving the instructions back to the person to stabilize the scene or provide basic life support until responders can get on scene. And that is the standard of care. That is what the reasonable person should expect when they call 911, is that they're going to get the information, they're going to send responders, send the appropriate responders to the right location, and that they're going to tell the person what they need to do in the meantime. It can be as simple as leave your house, close the door behind you. It could be as simple as make sure that your door is unlocked. These are instructions that we give people that help the responders and help themselves.
Turn your porch light on so the responders can
absolutely.
get up to the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go out and meet the ambulance, things like that.
Absolutely.
Wow. So that's an awful lot. So there's a little bit of teamwork going on, because I was under the assumption that while you're taking the call and getting the information from the person who's calling you with the emergency, that you're also sending out the dispatch, but you've got somebody that kind of jumps in right when that call happens.
Absolutely.
And they take care of getting something dispatched out.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's a two-phase system. So the first phase would be the call taker taking the information, and then the dispatcher is a second person who puts the call out. There are times, however, where the dispatcher is also the call taker, and it just depends on what's going on in the room. Yesterday, for example, when we had an accident involving a power line, every single 911 line lit up at the same time. And at that point, the dispatcher has to also be the call taker.
Gotcha.
And get the calls out quickly.
Wow.
So adaptability, it's really what dispatchers have to have, is that adaptability.
You've got to be pretty cool-headed too, because I mean, you are dealing with people in most cases. I mean, it's an emergency.
It is. Something
traumatic is happening, more than likely.
Absolutely.
And as we heard on the calls at the beginning, I mean, you've got some hysterical people. The choking baby, you can tell mom is extremely hysterical.
Absolutely.
And dad seems a little bit more calm. So I imagine sometimes you got to try to find that in there too, or get someone to calm down.
Sometimes we don't even have an address because we are trying to get the person calmed down enough to talk to us.
What kind of a person does it take to be a dispatcher?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Somebody who's cool-headed can calm people down. Somebody who can think quickly on their feet, adapt to changing situations. And you know, the thing about dispatchers, they were first thought of as clerical. And there are a lot of clerical duties, so it's understandable. But they're really a first responder.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. They're actually the first first responder.
Oh, yeah.
So they experience a lot of the same cumulative stress that first responders out in the field experience. We're not in the physical danger. We don't have the physical stress, but the emotional and mental stress is there. So somebody who can work through that would make a very good dispatcher. Somebody who knows how to work under stress and also can go from 0 to 60 very quickly. There are times when there's absolutely no sound in that room, and then every 911 line lights up, just like it did yesterday on that accident. Somebody who has a desire to help others. This is considered an entry-level position, which is evolving. I
find that a bit interesting too.
Yes.
Because it is. When I dial 911, if it doesn't go right with you, the events that follow that could also not go very well.
Absolutely.
So you are the first line of, I don't want to say the first line of defense, but you're the first line that I call.
Yeah.
And that's where it all starts.
Absolutely.
I've got the emergency, I've got Marie on the phone, and now Marie, it's up to you to get the right people to come to me and help me out. So I would say that's a huge responsibility.
Absolutely.
Major responsibility.
Absolutely.
Let's take our next break.
Sure.
We'll take it a little bit early, and then we'll come back. National Public Telecommunicator Week is going on?
It is.
It is. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Stick around. Countywide, we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
What to expect when you're expecting.
Like here?
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
Ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Smokey. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Countywide. Just a few minutes left in the program. It's 911 Education Month. We're sitting down with Marie Carpenter from the Cottonwood Police Department Communications Center. She's the manager. Now, you guys handle 5 fire agencies through there. 1 medical and 1 police is what you told me during the break there.
Yes.
That's a whole lot of people to deal with.
It is.
Before we get into National Public Telecommunicator Week, tell me what kind of training I'm going to have to go to in order to be a dispatcher, because as we heard on the calls, they're giving life-saving information over the phone.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
It's about a 6-month training program. A lot of it is on-the-job training. Just the hiring process is rather rigorous. We have the application, the test, the personality profile, the psych eval, the polygraph, the background. It's a really rigorous process. And then the training process in itself, call taking. We're all certified by the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch for Police, Medical, and Fire, 3 separate certifications. They've got to go through police dispatch training, so they can work with the police radio and the pursuits and the fights. And then we have the fire radio, working fire grounds and rescues and hazardous materials. So it's a 6-month process. Sometimes it's a little shorter, sometimes it's a little longer, depending on what experiences the person brings. But unfortunately, sometimes what happens is we'll bring somebody in after going through the testing process, and they just don't really have all of the skills they need in order to do the job real well. And it's unfortunate. That's why we have such a long probationary period. It's a 12-month probationary period.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you heard some of those calls, and you can understand we want to make sure we have the right person in that seat.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think nationwide, the need for dispatchers, looking for dispatchers, is a challenge. And it is considered entry level. So we'll get people that want to come in, they have great skills, they do a great job for us, but they want to take the next step. And some of the next steps are moving on to be a police officer or
so you're
a
a stepping
firefighter.
stone, a dispatch center,
Sometimes, yeah.
My newsroom is like that too sometimes.
Is it?
It's kind of a stepping stone for people. Yeah, they're moving on, moving through. So.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can see that. But wow, okay, so you need to be calm, cool-headed. You're going to learn a little something about fire, a little something about police. You have to be able to type.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, and help people out and calm them down. And it sounds to me almost overwhelming. But there's people out there that can handle it. And not to mention the challenge of just all the different kind of things that are becoming. I mean, when you answer a 911 call, you have no idea what it's going to be.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, this is some run-of-the-mill call. No
Never.
way. You have no idea who you're talking to or what's going on.
Never. You never know what you're going to get. And the world is changing. Technology is changing. The crimes are changing. The
frequency
rescues,
of them.
The frequency. It's a constantly evolving industry. And it takes somebody who embraces change, somebody who's willing to try things out, do new things, accept new technology, constantly learning, constantly continuing education.
Okay, so it's a great challenge. We've got about a minute left. We wanted to make mention really quick, too. Maricopa County Sheriff's Office last week announced that they have 911 text messaging now.
Yes.
So that's pretty exciting to see it's in the state. I mean, it's finally crossed the border. It's in the state.
It is.
Are we hopeful that that's going to be a statewide thing?
We are hopeful it'll be a statewide thing. Text to 911 is not currently available in this area. It's coming. There's work being done as we speak to make that happen. But it's not there yet, so we want to just encourage everyone to understand, just because it's in Maricopa County doesn't mean it's in Yavapai County, and we need you to call 911. Text to 911 will not function yet.
Okay, so no texting just yet.
Just yet.
Because I've been asking about that for years, and I thought it was available somewhere in the state at one point in time, but it hadn't been. And now here it is. It's arrived.
Havasu had an implementation on their own, but we are working with many of the other agencies with the state of Arizona to do their rollout.
You hiring dispatchers right now?
I am hiring dispatchers.
How many do you need?
I need at least 4.
At least 4?
Yes.
Oh boy, so the dispatchers are there are working some serious hours then.
They are.
It's very busy.
They are.
Okay, so if you're looking for a job and you want a big challenge, be a dispatcher.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 50th anniversary.
50th anniversary of 911.
50th anniversary.
Yes.
All right, we're out of time. Marie, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I appreciate it very much. Very, very much. Okay, Cottonwood Police Department Communications Center Manager Marie Carpenter. This is 911 Education Month. That's today's Countywide. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.